So, not going to be an exciting draft for the Cowboys, probably. No Johnny Manziel in there anyway.
Well, I guess you could bring him in.
You can bring Johnny in, just sign him as a free agent. See, that's what Jerry should do.
See if you can develop, he can come back and get him now.
What the heck? But for the Cowboys, it's just going to be me and David, and we're going to talk about the draft this week. That starts Thursday. Doesn't start for the Cowboys.
Well, it doesn't start for the Cowboys Thursday.
No, it does not. Just let me ask you that question. Any chance at all they would trade into the first round?
I don't see really any scenario where that happens because, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but, they've been so successful in recent years of finding starters in the second through the seventh rounds. And in the later rounds, if not starters, at least people who are part of the rotations and are still here and have been here 3 or 4 years, that's what they have to do. Clearly, their plan now is they want to keep their own. And you saw that with what they gave to Marcus Lawrence. Mm-hmm. Well, they're still going to have to pay Amari Cooper, who is now their own after the trade, after the first-round pick, which is why they won't be picking Thursday night. You still have to pay Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Byron Jones. After that, you'll have Jalen Smith coming up fairly soon. So the fact that they have hit in the draft and have all of these players they want to retain just makes it even more of an imperative that they continue to draft well in order to fill up those other spots on the roster, in order to free them up to pay big money to the players who have come out of the draft who have been stars. So, but because of all of that, look, they would have to give up a first-round pick in next year's draft to move up into the first round. Mm-hmm. And they're at 58. You'd probably have to give up that pick too. So then now suddenly you're giving up a first next year and 58 to get into the first round this year, late in the first round.
Right.
And then you're not drafting again until 90. Mm-hmm. So I do think they have, if they come out of this draft with no one who steps in and starts, I think they're still in pretty good position because of what they've done in free agency and how they've drafted recently. I think there are a few spots where they could draft and plug in a player who's going to start for them before the season ends. Yeah. But to me, that's not even really crucial for them this year. I think they're covered pretty well. You can always get better, and they want to get better. But all of that being said, I think that's why they'll stick with what they have. They have 6 picks in this draft, starting at 58. The key is going to be 58 and 90. They have those two picks there. I can see a scenario where if a really good player they didn't expect to be there drifts into the middle of the second round, or they have fixated and identified a player who could step in and start day one from them at, say, safety, or a defensive tackle that they feel is really good and will be an upgrade for them. I could see them moving up into the early 50s, late 40s, and giving up a pick to do that. But I wouldn't see them going much beyond that.
Yeah, here's the thing for me about this draft is that it kind of plays right into their hands.
Yeah.
They have a clear weakness at safety, a weakness at strong safety.
Yes.
And of course the way in the NFL that safety's played now, it's more of a hybrid position. It's not the old weak safety, strong safety. Mm-hmm. There are elements of that, obviously, but you can pair up guys who have similar traits. One doesn't have to be the big thumper that you always got from a strong safety, and because as Jason Garrett said the other day, you're looking to disguise your defense a little bit, and not to give the offense the idea of, this is who we're going to attack right now.
Yeah, and you're so much in nickel and dime, and sometimes the safety comes down and covers a linebacker. Other times he doesn't. He's going to be on the fourth receiver.
Right.
There are just so many different configurations now defensively and what teams do that, that distinction. And again, the Cowboys play a variation of the cover two, which really they play quarters. So you play quarters of the field versus a true safety, strong safety in the box and a free safety roaming.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, and this draft is, if it's deep in anything, it's deep in 2 areas it's considered to be defensive line and its safety. Mm-hmm. And certainly the Cowboys could use either one of those things, although they don't usually spend high draft picks on the defensive linemen. By high, I mean first or second round picks on defensive linemen. I saw somewhere that the last time they did that, a first or second, was Russell Maryland. Could that really be right?
Well, defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle. Yeah, not
defensive
a
tackle,
end, right.
which is where they really, because they've done Taco Charlton. They've done, they used a third-round pick to move up to get DeMarcus Lawrence 5 years ago to the top of the second round. But yeah, defensive tackles, they do not put a premium on them. But there should be some pretty good defensive tackles available for them. Where they are in the second round too. So I think it's either there or safety is the most likely. That being said, if you have a difference maker on the offensive side of the ball, like Samuel Debo. Debo Samuel, whatever. I have dyslexia, so excuse me. Out of South Carolina. So, I mean, that's a guy that can it's going to be interesting because a lot of what they've done in the draft in recent years, they've addressed the defensive side of the ball, and they've addressed that in free agency as well, through trades or free agency this offseason. So you trade for Quinn, you bring a Loka in at safety to give you a veteran guy back there.
Who is kind of a standard strong safety thumper.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. And he's a guy they were interested in last year, and he wound up going to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 years ago, and he went to Minnesota. So, they have usually turned to defense over these last 10 years to kind of build their defense through the draft and pay their money or make their big hits on the skill players on the offensive side of the ball where the money is and the high draft picks. But like I said, now they're in pretty good shape defensively. This is one of the better defenses in the league and the youngest defense in the league last year. And but remember where were they lacking last year? Offensively, no turnovers defensively, but offensively, they were one of the lowest scoring teams in the league. I mean, score is going up in the league, and they're going down. They're scoring 8 points a game less than they were in 2014. Mm-hmm. The rest of the league's going in the other direction. So they need to still do something offensively here, which is why I would not rule out a receiver in the second or third round. But if you want to make your list on the guy that could step in and make an impact, if not week one would be starting before the season's over, you would look at strong safety and say this is where they could go in, put Jeff Heath in a backup role, not expose him as much. Remember, Jeff Heath was an undrafted. There are two safeties that they went with this past year. Jeff Heath, an undrafted rookie, and Xavier Woods, who went in the 6th round.
Right.
So if you take anyone on Friday that's going to be an upgrade, it certainly will be in what they're projected coming into the league.